Also, hello, my name is Alicia. I was kind of waiting to introduce myself officially until we had most folks in the room. So I'm Alicia Roybal. I am the Director of New Student Orientation and Family Engagement. So you will probably be seeing me over the next few months if you are doing any of our other Zoom sessions, which we will go over, or if you're coming to move-in day, we will have tables there. We will do family day in September. So you might be seeing a lot of me, or if you email us, you'll most likely be hearing from me as well. I am going to let Katie also introduce herself. So Katie, if you want to chat a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Kane. Sounds like Candy Cane. Your student has probably seen enough of me during their Zoom and orientation requirements, but I'm happy to be here with all of you guys to chat with you as well. So I'll be monitoring the chat also and just throwing out rapid answers as fast as I can get to them. So if you don't see your question answered right away, hang tight. I'm just working through them. And if you have more questions or want follow up, feel free to reply and I'll get to them in turn. So excited to be here with everyone tonight. Your students are the highlight of my work that we do. So very excited to be here with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Looks like it's thinking about sharing. There we go. All right, when I did share my screen with you, Zoom may have taken over your whole computer screen. If you don't like the whole screen being taken over, in the top right corner, there should be a view or view options. Click on that and you can exit full screen. So let's get started. Here's some things that we will cover today. We will also have the opportunity to do a Q&A at the end. So if there's anything that we don't touch base on, please don't worry. We will give you some time and space to ask those questions. So we will review FERPA, some important dates that we definitely share with students during orientation that may not always work its way towards you. We'll go over some campus health resources, learning supports, our TRIO student services, some student welcome events, as well as some family engagement opportunities. Our mission here is to empower, educate, and engage family members while you support your student
Already
during
worked out.
orientation. And we are really here for you as well. You are going to hit a lot of roadblocks as a family member, and we're going to be here to help you navigate what those look like. So, speaking of roadblocks, let's talk about our first topic, which is FERPA, or the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. In a nutshell, what this means is that at the college level, regardless of your student's age, they are considered an adult and they are considered the owner of their educational record. So you do not automatically get access to your student's information as a parent. Even if you help them with their financial aid, if you are contributing towards tuition, it is not your right to receive direct access and automatic information. And so the following people have access to educational records. So the students and any outside party who has the student's written request. So you can gain access, but the student has to authorize you to have that access. And then school officials. So anyone who has legitimate educational interests. So that's going to be advisors, but even faculty. Faculty do not have access to see all of a student's information. They really only have access to see the students who are signed up in their class, and that's really it. They don't get to dive deeper into the student record. So let's go and talk a little bit more. So directory information are things that can be released on a student, but are not automatically released all the time. So that's the name, hometown, email address, dates of attendance, majors, minors, field of studies, if they're a freshman, sophomore, graduate students, honors or awards, those sorts of things. Honors and awards are sometimes published on the websites to acknowledge our students. Enrollment status, we can say, yes, they are enrolled, or no, they are not enrolled. Things that cannot be released are going to be student GPA. We will not be able to give student ID numbers out. We cannot give class schedules out, so we will not be able to share where they are or if they've been attending class. We cannot give that information. Birth dates, a place of birth, addresses, or social security numbers, which even most faculty and staff do not have access to social security numbers. That's usually only held within the registrar office or admissions for application purposes, financial aid. So just so you know, that's again where we come in. We can help you navigate. If you have questions or if you're not sure where to go or get started, you can start with the family office, and we are really here to help you best help your students. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some important dates and the tuition and fee agreement and disclosure. This is a slide that I actually pull directly from our orientation program, with exception of like the billing and calendar thing, because they do get those in a follow-up email. Students get this information. We always get asked questions from families. Do the students get this? The answer is yes. We do not give you things that we will not give them. So before your students can register for classes, they have to agree to a tuition and fee agreement and disclosure. This is really, it's almost the best way to explain it is it's kind of like a contract. The student has to agree to that. And these are the four sort of big things that it goes over, but it also talks about medical withdrawal. There's tax information. I know families are really interested on how they get the T98, is it the 1098T. There we go.
Yes.
So it goes over that, but these are sort of the big things that I always go over with students. So number one, the disclosure is going to tell the students that the student is responsible to make sure the tuition and fees are paid. So if they have financial aid, scholarships, if somebody's helping them pay tuition, they still need to log in and make sure the university has received that payment. And if not, they know they can contact someone and have a conversation. It will also tell them that the bursar, which is just a fancy name for the billing office or the tuition office, they will only communicate with the student through the CU Denver email. The same thing with advisors, faculty, campus resources, everything goes to the CU email. During their registration session, we make sure they can access their email, and then the expectation is that they start checking that regularly, if not every day, at least every other day. And they can also, we use Outlook for email, so they can always download the app and get notifications to their phone if they want. The disclosure also goes over payment plan options. It will tell the student that there is a $40 fee per semester to set up a payment plan, but that is available, and we show the student where they can do that in their UCD Access portal. And then it will outline late fees. So these dates that you are seeing on my screen do relate to late fees that students, if they don't know about these dates, they can get surprised. So we always have our student take a screenshot of these so they can add them to their calendar. I tell them I do not expect them to memorize these dates, but I do expect them to know they exist and they will be there in the fall. So one of the number one questions we always get is, when can I view my tuition bill? How will I know how much it is? And the answer is August 1st. August 1st is the earliest students can view their bill. That's also the earliest they can set up a payment plan, and the payment plan is set up through their UCD Access portal. August 18th is going to be the first day of fall classes. As I tell them, we truly are excited to have our new incoming class come in. It's always a fun first week. August 25th, that will be the last day a student can drop a class without being charged a drop fee. So you'll notice students can make adjustments to their schedule all the way up to the 25th of August without being charged any fees. September 3rd, this one's pretty important. September 3rd is going to be the last day a student can drop a class without having to owe full tuition for that class. They will be assessed the drop fee, but if they drop a class after September 3rd, they will have to pay full tuition for a course they are not getting credit for. Also, if folks are using financial aid, I highly recommend that they talk to the financial aid office before they drop a class, and that way they would be aware of any changes that could potentially happen to their aid. And then September 5th, this is the most important one. September 5th is when tuition needs to be paid in full if there is not a payment plan on file. So after September 5th, if the tuition's not paid, if there is not a payment plan on file, then that immediate next day, students will start to get a late fee. And then they will get a late fee each month they are past due balance. So, okay, let's see. I do see some things in the chat. 8-1, that's the bill for fall. Yes, that is correct. 8-1 is the fall class bill. Who can I contact about financial aid? Yes, we have our financial aid office. They, depending on the question, they might either want the student on the call with you, especially if you do not have a FERPA release from the student. They cannot always give specific information. So students really need to be the one, again, to drive that car in conversation. Another question, does financial aid also apply to housing, books, etc., only tuition? That is a great question. Students can apply their financial aid towards the, yes, financial aid can help cover housing, books, living expenses. So what will happen is financial aid will typically pay towards tuition 10 days before the semester starts. So about August 8th, students can look in their bill and see if financial aid has made payment towards tuition. They will always pay tuition first, and then it will, go towards housing. Students can actually charge the bookstore to the student account. So if they wanted to buy their books, let's say they don't have, however much money in their bank account for their books, they can charge it to their student account, and then that way financial aid can help cover those. If there are any remaining funds left over, students are asked to set up a direct deposit to have those the remaining financial aid sent to their bank account. If we sign, that's a good question. If we sign the FERPA, can we get a login credential for billing items, or do we have to continue to go through our student portal? So that is a great question. So the student, as Katie said, will set you up as an authorized payer. So you do not need to have a FERPA on file for your student to set you up. And we show them where to go in orientation, but in their UCD Access in the billing system, there's an authorized payer and they set you up. So you will get any emails that the student gets asking them to log into their account, view their bill. You will not get access to the student portal, but you do get access to the billing center if they sign you up for that. So talk to your student about that. What if a class is on a wait list? Does it appear on the bill when do you know if you have the class? Great question. Yes, it will appear on your bill. The student needs to keep track if they get off the waitlist and enrolled into the class. So they will not get a notification saying that they have been absorbed into the course. They just need to log in at this point at least once a week into their UCD Access, look at their schedule, and see if they've gone from waitlisted to enrolled. And then if a student does not get off the wait list by the end of this month, I highly encourage them to just email their assigned advisor. We show them how to find that, and they can ask for another recommended course. So there are 120 credit hours that students need to complete their degree. There's a lot of course options that they can get through. Great questions. So those are important dates. So the next thing we will talk about is some health resources. And this is really the Wellness Center, Counseling Center, Phoenix Center, Care Team, and Case Management. I typically like to show the websites for this. I'm a firm believer in showing you the information and not just giving you slides about it. So let me switch my screens real quick. All right, well, I have to figure out how to do the new screen share. Okay, I'm going to show you, we're going to start with the Wellness Center. Wellness Center is included in the student fees. And so I like to tell students that there is nothing free on campus. Um, some people might be like, oh, this is free. The Wellness Center is free. It's not free. They're already paying for it in their student fees. So this is our Wellness Center website. Um, they do believe in the seven dimensions. So they do more than just working out and physical activity. They provide emotional, spiritual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and creative, as well as physical support to students. So they have food resources. We have our Milo Mart that is in the Wellness Center. We have some students that have not bought a tube of toothpaste since they started college at CU Denver, so because they can get that at the Wellness Center. Same thing with food. If someone, maybe they forgot their wallet at home, or maybe they're just financially struggling, they can go to the Wellness Center and stock up on some food every single week. So we ask students to utilize that service because we got to get rid of it before it goes bad. And it also helps prove the need so we can continue to offer it to students. They do mental health resources. So we do have a counseling center. Again, I'll talk about counseling center here shortly. They do training, so a mental health training for students, faculty, and staff, safety, there's wellness tips. We do also have our club sports. So let me switch their view a little bit. Let me do just a different search there. Okay. So they do weekend hours. They do evening hours as well in the wellness center. And so these are a lot of things that they do. They have club sports, they have group fitness. Their adventure shop is really, really cool. They can either go on group trips for camping, hiking. I think they've gone rafting as well. Students can also check out equipment from the adventure store. So they can, for minimal cost, get their own camping checkout and go camping on their own with friends. So they really make it available to all students. They hire our wellness center has the largest population of student staff that work for them. So they have a really amazing marketing team of students who have activated their Facebook and their Instagram page. I'm always following them on Instagram. They do fun, quirky videos. That's where I always find out what events are happening. So they have marketing teams. So anyone who has a business student that might be going into marketing, that would be a great place to start building a resume. Um, and then they also just do, again, the fitness. They have microwaves over there. They have study rooms over there. So they offer a lot more than just wellness. I guess fitness resources. So are there any questions about the wellness center before I move on? I want to make sure I kind of get those hot topics. All right, let me take a look at the chat. Okay, I do have a question. I'm going to circle back so I don't forget about this. Is financial aid loans? How do we find out about scholarships awarded? Okay, great question. Loans are part of financial aid. So if your student received a loan, yes, they have subsidized and unsubsidized loans. The difference between that is a subsidized loan. Students do not have to pay interest, or they don't gain interest, and they don't have to start paying on that loan until after they stop taking classes, whether that's graduation or maybe they stop out for whatever reason. So a subsidized loan does not gain interest immediately. An unsubsidized loan, that will start gaining interest immediately, and it is best practice to start paying on that right away. Great question. Okay, I'm going to go on to the counseling center now. So we do have a counseling center. Again, I'm not going to say this is a free service. This is part of the student fees. Students pay for the counseling center. So if they want to utilize it, I encourage them to do so. Within a calendar year, so within a 12-month period, students can get up to 10 sessions of counseling, and that's one-on-one counseling. They also do group sessions. If someone needs more than 10 sessions, they will not turn folks away. That is not beneficial for the students. So they will work with them to come up with a plan on how to continue services as well. So with our counseling center, this is their website. They can schedule appointments. They have a health app as well that can help with just whatever goals a student might have. So it can give them tips and tricks. It also gives them emergency resources if needed. They have their crisis services. So there is a 24-hour phone number that students can call if they are in distress and need to talk to someone and get referred out. There are testing and assessments, so that is through our CU Denver School of Psychology. I must say, and I can say, that I actually had my daughter get tested through the psychology department at CU Denver, and she's young now, so she was maybe 6 at the time, or 5 or 6. And I needed to get her tested, and it came out that she had dyslexia, and it was not as long as a wait as outside entities, and it was much cheaper than other folks. So the counseling center does do a lot for students. They also will do community counseling as well. So they do have some grant funding and money that they can work with community members on counseling. So that is the counseling center. Again, I do not want to say that this is free, because students do pay for this within their student fees. So any questions about counseling center? All right, then I'm going to go on to our Phoenix Center. So our Phoenix Center, let me pull that over here. There we go. Our Phoenix Center, this was the first one. They are really a tri-institutional department on campus. So for those of you who are not aware, Auraria campus does house 3 colleges: CU Denver, Metro State University, and Community College of Denver. So with all of those campuses, this office serves all of them. And the Phoenix Center, let me get a different website, because this one is just going to be all the resources. So the Phoenix Center is really our interpersonal violence center. So they support students that may have either experienced interpersonal violence in the past, so like a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a loved one, things happened, right? Or if they're currently going through it, they can reach out to the Phoenix Center, and the Phoenix Center can provide them with support and resources. Also, if they know someone, maybe they have a friend or a family member that is experiencing interpersonal violence, the Phoenix Center is there to help that student navigate how they can be a support person. They probably don't have a ton of events listed yet because the semester has not started, but they do various events on campus to bring awareness and just to educate folks. So like I said, they have the How to Help a Loved One, Interpersonal Violence 101, bystander intervention, unhealthy and abusive relationships. So I know it's a heavy topic, but know that there is a place to go for students to be supported if they have the unfortunate circumstances of experiencing this. So, and our Phoenix Center is great. It is a confidential service. So if a student does go meet with them, everything is confidential for the student. No one will know they visited. Even their office is very secure. They try to make it so if a student walks in, they're not, everyone's seeing the student go in. Yes, and Katie, good point. They also hire peer support. So Phoenix Center is the one that does have the 24-hour call line. And so they do intensive training to students, faculty, and staff who want to it's volunteer work, and they get intensive training. It's like 40 hours of training they have to do. And then they rotate on who gets the cell phone to answer those calls. And those people are available to make references as our referrals as needed. Thank you for adding that, Katie. All right, next, as far as wellness resource goes, is our CARE team. So CARE is our campus assessment, response, and evaluation. This is basically when I say if you see something, say something, right? If you have any type of concern, submit a concern. So you can submit a concern as a parent or a family member, support person, faculty, staff, students can submit a concern. And so basically what they're there to do is help keep the campus community safe. So these are some things of what to refer: signs of distress, erratic behavior, paranoia, classroom disruptions, lack of responsiveness, right? So maybe someone was in class every single day, hasn't missed any single class, but then all of a sudden in October, they stop showing up, they stop going, and no one really knows what's going on. They're not turning in homework. We would want people to submit a CARE report on that. And so they make it really easy. You can either call and talk to someone and say, ask like, is this a concern? Am I right to be worried? And you can go online and submit a concern here. When you do, it opens up a form and it goes to the referral. So you will read through all of their disclaimer. You'll put your information, because a lot of times when you fill this out, they will want to talk to you and get more information as the reporter. And then you will put the information of the student. So who is the student? Oops. And then you can select, like, what are they doing? Is it mood swings? Is it unusual behavior? Problems in family or social relationships, right? So you can select, and then there's usually a write-up that you can put in and put more information. So if you fill this out, they look at these every single day. They take all reports seriously, and they usually will follow up with you first. You might not always get the end result because of privacy rights, but they will definitely take every report seriously. So again, if you see something, say something. It's really there to help our students feel safe and supported. And then the last office I am going to talk about is going to be our case management team at CU Denver. Let me get their website here. Case management is related to all of these resources. Again, they have the submit a referral that was connected to our CARE team. They work very closely with CARE. And they basically, as it says, foster student growth, development, and success by assisting students dealing with concerns related to mental health. They do oversee our Loving Links Fund. So if a student is in dire need of some financial support for whatever that might be, maybe it's their, I don't know, medications or books or like something that they really need funding for, they have the my links that they can, or my Loving Links that they can apply and try to request some funding for support. They also help with medical withdrawal. This is probably the biggest thing that students don't always know about or they feel intimidated for. So it is a thing that if something happens, whether a student breaks their leg, they get physically sick, they maybe are, end up being pregnant and, go through pregnancy, students can do a medical withdrawal, and they would go through this office to do that. If approved for their medical withdrawal, they also could potentially be eligible for tuition reimbursement. What medical withdrawal does is it allows students to drop their courses after the deadline without negative ramifications. So this is just a good resource to know about, and you can submit the form here. All right. So next on my list, we're going to start talking and switching gears. We're going to kind of move from these heavy conversations, and we are going to start talking about learning supports on campus. So let me go back here. So one of them is going to be our Learning Resources Center. And if you just do a Google search for Learning Resources Center, it's the first one that pops up. This one is probably one of my favorite offices on campus, not only because the staff is amazing, but because it is truly a support system. So Learning Resources is our tutoring office. They do a lot of different things. They do individual coaching. Individual coaching could be time management, study skills. Maybe it's, I don't know, communicating with a faculty member. Maybe they're intimidated by the faculty and they don't know how to approach them and ask questions. They do a lot of coaching with students. In the last fall semester, there was a student that wanted to time manage and plan out her whole semester. And they sat down with that student once a week for about 3 or 4 weeks to help them plan and, get into a routine of what that would look like. But tutoring, I know that's always a number one thing. In our Facebook page, we're always seeing parents asking, where can my student get tutoring for math or chemistry or whatever it might be? Have them start here. Again, they're already paying for it in their student fees. There should not be a need for you or your student to pay more money to get tutoring services. They do virtual and in-person sessions. BrainFuse, this is a really cool tool. This is the one that does 24/7, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can get online tutoring from a real person. So it's not like they go in and they get these modules that they have to log in and try to self-learn. They get connected to a person. And so they would just click on here, they log in as the students, they get up to 3 hours of tutoring each week. However, if they need more than that, they just need to contact the Learning Resources Center and ask for more, and they will give it to them because they want their students to be successful. There is also specifically the Writing Center in there. You'll see there's a Dropbox, which is really cool. They've had this for years. So sometimes it's intimidating to get feedback on your papers, but a student can work with the Writing Center. They can either schedule an appointment and meet with someone one-on-one. The Writing Center will not do the work for them. They will expect the student to do it, and they can provide feedback. But if a student cannot meet with the Writing Center in person and they want to get feedback on their paper, they can use the Dropbox where they would just upload their paper, and within, it can't be the day before it's due, but within 24 to 48 hours, they will get feedback on their paper with some notes. And, sometimes that might be, like, what do you mean by this? Or the flow of your paper is a little bit out of order. You need to make the flow work better. What question are you really trying to answer? And are you getting there? So they do a great job there. And then we have our math and stats support. So, anyone taking calculus, trigonometry, things like that, they're in the bottom of the building I work in, and there's always students in the back area. They have whiteboards on the walls, and they're over there, getting some tutor help with their math. So again, it's a great place to be. And they do a lot of different things. So supplemental learning, that's more of a group session. So usually that's done by like a student, a peer that has excelled in a class, and they will do group sessions to help students comprehend and understand materials. So I encourage you all to look through this. It is really a great resource for students. All right, next on my list is going to be our disability resources and services. Can tell I look up these sites all the time. So disability resources and services. If anyone ever had an IEP or a 504 plan, in any point of their college journey, or even at a previous institution, they had accommodations. They can receive accommodations through our disability resources and services. As a new student, to get started with requesting accommodations, they would need to go to the Accommodate system. But some examples of accommodations would be letters. So they'd get a letter for their faculty. That is important. I do want you to know if someone is approved for accommodations, the office will not email the faculty to ensure that the student is getting their accommodations. There's too many students, too many faculty. That's what the letter is for. And it's the student's responsibility at the beginning of the semester to talk to the faculty either before or after class. It would be best to schedule a meeting with the faculty to really go over what those accommodations are and make sure they are on the same page. So Just know it is not the department's responsibility to reach out to the faculty. It is the students. But they do testing accommodations. That could be longer test taking time. It could be quiet spaces. They could be in a quiet space with noise canceling, headphones, things like that. They can do alternative electronics, or I'm sorry, alternative textbooks or electronic textbooks. They can get note taking. So a lot of times that would be approval for the student to use another person's notes in class. And then they also have like a resource library as well. So anyone who would be interested in, they just go to the accommodate system link. It will open a new page. There it is. And then they just start with new students, register here. This is where students really need to start. It gets them in the system, it gets them in the flow. Once they complete this, the Disability Resources Center will reach out to the student, schedule an appointment, and start the process to get those accommodations. So it is really a great resource for students. And I always explain that disability resources and even tutoring, it's not the stigma that it is in high school or even lower levels. At the college level, it really is a service. It is something I always explain it's like preventative health. You go into your doctor for checkups, right, to make sure there's anything wrong. That's what these services are. You want to get to the learning resources and disability resources earlier and have those set in place. If you use them, great. If you don't, that's okay too, but you want to have the option if you think you might need them before it's too late. Come October, November, if a student starts to fall behind and they're like, oh, I really could have used those accommodations, it might be a little bit too late if they got that, like if they're failing a class or if they're getting a D. So have them sign up earlier. I guess you can't have them, but encourage them to do it. It's not as intimidating as a lot of it seems to be. All right, my next office. This is an office that is underneath my umbrella. So CU Denver, we're going to talk about TRIO Student Services. So TRIO programs is always recruiting new students to be a part of their program. They're typically for students that are first generation. And so let me move this up so I can see it a little bit better. So they offer just academic support. There are two programs within TRIO that students can apply to be a part of. One of them is our student support services. So again, it's usually first generation low income students or students with disabilities, and it just gives them an office that they can go and feel supportive. They only are able to serve a small number of students because it is a grant funded office. But they offer a lot of things. They do academic support, advocacy and personal support, peer mentoring, tutor assistance. So if they're part of the program, they get extra tutor hours. They help with financial aid and graduate school. So if any student is interested in graduate school, a lot of times they will help either pay for the graduate application or help get those waived. They do leadership development. This last year, this office has taken students to Washington. They went to Washington twice. I think they went down to Texas. They've gone all over the place. And some of that has been for conferences. Some of that has been to go see how Congress works. They're just a great support system for students to have somewhere to go. They also offer our McNair program. So McNair is really for students who know that they want to go into a graduate or doctorate program. So anyone that knows that after they get their bachelor's degree, they want to continue their education, this program is for them. They do research opportunities for these students. So a lot of times students can get some small funding from the McNair program to do research. We had a student in our office who is part of the TRIO program, and they were able, where did Bella go, Katie? Bella went to...
She went to North Carolina, one of the UNC schools.
Yeah. She went to North Carolina and she was able to present her research at North Carolina, which is really cool. She had never been able to do something like that before. She's a graduate student right now. And that was just a great opportunity. They paid for her flights, her hotel, her registration for the conference. And it was just an amazing experience that she might not have been able to do without this program. So if they are interested in graduate school, if they want research and to add that to their resume, have them look into TRIO. I cannot advocate enough for it. And then the last support office that I'm going to talk about is the Links Central office. Links Central is sometimes called the one-stop shop, but this is where students will really start if they have admissions, bursar, which is the billing office, financial aid scholarships, and registrar. So this website is a good website to have. It has everything. It can be somewhat overwhelming, I'm going to warn you. They're the only big front desk in the Student Commons building, or the Qdoba building for some folks that don't know the buildings on campus. But it has links to everything. So even all of the links that Katie and I have given you today, it has even more than that. You can do a class search. So if you're like, I don't know, I want to know what classes are offered in the semester, and just because you're curious, you can go do a search of the classes and you select the semester. These are things that your students, if they've gone through their registration session, they can go and look. So I'm just going to do a quick show and tell. Just look for English 1020, which is our English Composition 1. And so then it shows all of the classes that are available or not. So then it, some of these classes are full. So this class is an X because it's full at capacity. This class is waitlisted. So this is what we do with students in orientation, is help them find classes that will fit their schedule. I hope I'm not making anyone too dizzy. I'm trying to find an open class right here. This is what we want to see. We want to see a check mark, right? So as someone who might not be a student, you can look at some of these resources. Scholarships, this takes them to Scholarship Universe, which you do have to have a student account to log in. You can look at degree maps. This is one of my favorite things to show families because students don't always share this information. I'll put this in the chat. This is really cool. So I saw someone who was interested in, like, excited for their architecture students. So I'm going to just look up architecture. If you click on the degree map for any given program, it tells you the program overview, who the contact information, where are they located, but then it will give a 4-year plan. So anyone who is wanting to graduate in 4 years, they can go to their degree map and it will outline the things that they need to take semester 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through their 8th semester. The other beautiful thing about this, and I would encourage students to print this out so they can mark it up and cross. There's nothing more satisfying than being a student and being able to cross out classes that you took and see that progress. But this will outline the requirements. So there are a lot of classes. They have to take these math classes. There's these architecture classes they have to take, and it goes all the way down. And it'll say the prerequisite for this class is architecture 3121, right? In order to take 4111. So this is a really cool tool for you. Maybe you're not familiar with the degree program or how the classes work. You can look at this and be like, hey, have you taken your visualization? What is studio design? What's the difference between design 1 and design 2? So you can really be a part of that conversation with them. Let's see. Go back. And again, you can look at anyone. We'll go to maybe liberal arts and sciences. Here we have a lot of biology majors. Let's look at human biology. That's kind of common. Same thing. And you'll see the degree requirements are a little bit different for students, or a lot depending on the major. So same thing. It will outline what they need to take to complete their program, as well as a suggested 4-year graduation plan. So that's Links Central. Let me get back to that page. Sorry, I did not mean to make folks dizzy. It will go over tuition and fees. So this is one of the things that I do want to review with you. So we always get questions, you know, we can't view the tuition until August, but what if we want to just start planning and oops, get it. Oh, that's a different one. What if we want to start planning? I can get this. There we go. So we do have a tuition and fees website as well. This is the undergraduate tuition web table. So it'll go over the resident tuition for 25-26. So that's fall 2025, spring 2026. This is also applicable to summer 2026. So it has the resident tuition. If they have applied for COF and authorized CU Denver to utilize COF, then this is the resident tuition after COF rate. Non-resident tuition, a non-resident if they're fully online students, WUI, and an international student. And you'll see business school has its own line item of tuition. Engineering also has theirs, and digital animation. So digital animation is part of the College of Arts and Media. And so this is a specific, digital animation is a specific major. So if your student does not fall under any of these areas, then they would be the standard rate. Great question. What is COF? COF is the College Opportunity Fund. So I'll go back up here again. The College Opportunity Fund is a state stipend that helps keep the cost of tuition a little bit lower for residents of Colorado. Yes, absolutely. I can definitely put that link in here. So yes, COF is a state stipend. You do need to be a Colorado resident in order to authorize it, but it does help keep the cost of tuition a little bit lower. And it varies every year. Sometimes the stipend rate is a little bit higher. Sometimes it's a little bit lower, depending on, you know, what the economy is doing. So, okay, I'm going to open it up. I've been doing a lot of talking and, you know, we are here until about 7. So I want to know what questions you all might have, either anything that I talked about here or not. Does COF apply automatically? No, that is a great question. It does not apply automatically. Yep, we do assist assistants with authorizing their COF. It has to be done in their UCD Access portal. So when they come to their Zoom registration sessions, we show them how to do it. But the orientation office will also email all of the students to the CU Denver email the first week of August, reminding them to authorize their COF with instructions on how to do that. It is very easy to do. And so we will send that to them. There is not really a deadline to authorize their COF, but it is best to do it early on. All right. Do you know when the move-in time slots will be available to sign up for? I don't know the exact date, but students should be checking the CU Denver email for any housing updates. I do know it was, if not last week, I believe the week before, housing did send out an email to students with a lot of information on there. And they did say by the end of this month, I think it might have even been July 29th at the latest, they would log into their housing portal or check their email for the link to that, and they will be able to select their move-in day and time. Okay, daughter tried to set up a housing appointment, saw no available appointment times until 4 months from now. So yes, they should still be able to apply for housing. So if she's wanting to live on campus, the best thing to do, let me pull this slide over here and we can put the link in the chat, is going to be to go to the housing website. And you really just, it's not even an apply. I don't know why I said that. It's the contract. So if they go here, they click on the Secure Your Campus Housing Today. This is the contract. It is not an application. Once you submit your contract, they do the student login. Housing gets so mad at me because I always kind of go in and I try to see what the students see. Housing contract, here it is at the top. And they go through this process. And so as you can see, I was messing around in this system. You click apply or continue if you've already started it, and then you can go back and see this one. You are about to sign the housing contract. So unless they're truly ready to live on campus, do not submit this yet, okay? And it gives everything in there that they need. Secure my housing now. So yes, there are still some spots available. The room preference might not be available for housing. So that's the only sort of disclaimer. Okay, I see some things coming in. Question, does CU Denver require students opt out of Auraria health insurance? No, we actually do not offer health insurance to students. The only students that are eligible to receive health insurance is going to be international students because they're required to have it. So you do not need to opt out of anything. You do not need to send us any proof of health insurance. We do not require that. What we do require is students submit immunization records, and I can go over that here in just a moment. You may have addressed this, but I was told that they will add health insurance to fees unless we provide proof of insurance. No, we will not. No, we will not add health insurance to fees. That is not something that CU Denver does. CU Boulder is different, and CU Boulder will do something like that. But, and the reason we don't offer health insurance to our students, we used to years ago, decades at this point, but the rates of health insurance were a disservice to students. It was so expensive. It cost way too much. It was unaffordable. So we went away with even offering that because it was not the best insurance that they could get. Question, if my student rejected loans at first, can she go back and say yes, if she wants to go back for her loans, have her contact the financial aid office. In her UCD Access, there is a schedule an appointment button, and she can click on that and schedule an appointment with the financial aid office to go back and say, I accidentally deleted this. I also highly encourage students they don't have to accept their loans right now. The loans can just sit in their portal. And I've been encouraging students to wait until they see their bill in August. Come August 1, when they see their bill and if they say, oh no, I don't need those, I can take care of this, or they see their bill and they're like, yep, I need those loans, then they can accept them there. They do need to read the fine print because they do have to do some modules, and there's some forms that they have to fill out for their loans, but they can wait. They do not have to be accepted now. That's a good question. Let's see. Oh, parking. Yes, we've been waiting for this question. Katie, do you want to talk about parking, and I'll take over the chat? Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just gonna give like a quick overview on parking. So we do share our campus, like Alicia has mentioned, for some of our other offices, like the Phoenix Center. And I actually was just talking with someone in the chat about, is there a nurse on campus? Yes, we do have our health center. So several of our offices serve all three institutions, and parking is one of them. And so people often ask, like, what is the best parking? And my short answer to that is whatever the best parking is for you as the individual, what you're willing to pay, and just a variety of options. So let me see, I have our parking website pulled up here, and I will share my screen. Let me rearrange this window on the side. And we'll go ahead and share this bad boy up here. So again, you might notice the lack of very specific CU Denver branded materials here, and that's because it's run through our Auraria campus. So I'll start with the most important thing. Let's say you or your student plans to take the light rail pretty exclusively, but they do have a vehicle. Maybe they'll drive it to campus like once a day, like once a week, not a big deal. If you are bringing a vehicle to campus at any time, whether you're paying the daily rate or you choose to buy a pass, the most important thing you need to do is to register your vehicle. That's about midway down the page, and that's important for many reasons, but the top two reasons are: one, for safety. If your vehicle is registered with our Auraria campus parking partners, they will be able to give like jumps and starts. So if your car battery dies, if you lock yourself out, if you don't have that push to start car, if there's a break-in, our Auraria police will be a lot more easily able to help you if they have a registered like copy of your vehicle on file. But the most important part that most people feel in their day-to-day lives is that many of our lots and garages are also Denver public garages. So during the weekend, they may charge you that Denver public parking rate. And if anybody's tried going to Ball Arena recently on the weekend and you try to park in one of our Tivoli garages or nearby lots, sometimes that can get as high as $30, $30 flat rate for that payment. But if you have the student register your vehicle with Auraria Parking and you go to pay the daily rate, you'll be charged the daily rate, which is about, I think, up to $8.25 instead of the $30. So definitely register your vehicle, even if you don't plan on being with your vehicle on campus that often. It definitely helps way more than people even really like to realize. So definitely register your vehicle no matter how often you're coming to campus. But then when people ask, like, what is the best parking lot? What's the best parking rate? They do have a really nice package that is unique. I've worked on several campuses, and this is the first one that's kind of allowed you to customize your parking permit experience. So this is a little vague overview of a map here. And Alicia, just because I've been talking for a second, I am sharing a map, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. Just want to be sure. So our buildings on the CU Denver campus are located kind of on this north end, a little bit closer to Spear Boulevard. Some of our MSU Denver partners are in the kind of northwesterly corner, and our CCD friends are down here on the bottom. So you can see that all of the lots are kind of concentrated in a general area around our Tivoli Student Union. The biggest and closest garage to the very heart of campus is probably either going to be the Tivoli parking garage or the 7th Street parking garage. But there are various open air lots all around. And so what was really nice is when I first started working here at CU Denver as an intern and I was looking into buying a parking pass, you can actually say, how long are you going to be on campus? What days are your courses and your classes going to be? And it's, let's say you plan on not being on campus any day you're not on class. We recommend being on campus as often as you can, just to make sure you're taking advantage of all the things that you've already paid for, like Alicia mentioned, and just to make campus feel a little bit more like home. It's been proven that the more you're in a location, the more it feels like you're a part of that ecosystem, and it'll boost your students' chance of success. But I'll get off that soapbox for a moment. But if you are only coming to campus, like let's say Monday, Wednesday, that's it. I won't be on campus any other time. And let's say you also don't, mind walking. You like to get your steps in. You're trying to beat that person on your Fitbit challenge. You could actually customize your pass or permit portal so that you are able to park, let's say, just for example, an Elm lot, one of our farther lots away, and you only want to do that 2 days a week. They will customize that and adjust your price rate to that. Let's say you say, I'm going to go without a parking pass for a little bit just to test it out, see what I need when I need it. If you buy a pass midway through the semester, they'll also prorate it for the times that the time that you didn't have that pass. So you just have to pay for the remainder of the semester. So it really just depends. If you really wanted the most convenient, most time available, you could park 5 days a week in the Tivoli parking garage, but that would obviously be the most possible expensive parking pass you could possibly purchase. So it really is whatever happens to be best for you. You can also buy students, if they happen to be 19 or younger, can still ride the RTD, the light rail, the Denver train system for free. But if you have to buy a pass, they do offer a CU Denver RTD college pass. So I'll pull up that website here. During COVID, this was free because I think they were trying to boost students' engagement with using the light rail and using public transportation. But there's information about it on our website that kind of includes some updates. The Auraria campus parking is really good about posting updates because I know there's a lot of construction up and down Colfax. I'm sure if you're in the Denver area, you've seen it. But they give instructions on how to activate your college pass. Most of the time, you just need to carry it on your phone. I think most of the light rail buses and trains are now using that mobile ticket. So you just want to log in with your CU Denver email. Right now, it looks like the summer rate for the college pass is about $150. And those prices change semester to semester. So you just want to make sure you're checking the times and the times that they're open for the semester, that the pass is able to be used. That way you be sure you're making the most of it. So That's for any student who's commuting to campus. For those students who are living on campus and bringing a vehicle, I believe housing will be sharing communications about how to park on campus. There is a limited number of spots for that, but it is an option if you choose to take advantage of it. Housing has the most details on that, but that's usually a gated lot, and so they'll talk more about if you're living on CU Denver housing and bringing a vehicle, what type of pass you need to be purchasing. So I will go ahead and stop sharing and circle back here into the chat. I'll take a look for more questions, or Alicia, if there's something you saw more about parking that I can touch on. I'm trying to catch up here.
Yeah, no, I think I caught up on the chat. If I missed anybody, please feel free. If you want to unmute yourself, I welcome you. Sometimes it's easier to just ask, or if I missed your question or if we missed it, you may add it to the chat. So the newest one, if my student is moving out to rent a room somewhere not on campus, to be on her own, can she reapply for financial aid? Yes, yeah, there is no deadline on to apply for financial aid. So if someone needs to apply for financial aid, they can. If a student has already applied for financial aid and they're looking for additional aid or to change something, I recommend that they do schedule a meeting with the financial aid office to talk about what that looks like. There are a lot of nuances with financial aid. So sometimes it's better just to talk with someone, because there might be questions that she might not even think to ask, that the financial aid counselor can give some insight on. And again, the best and only way to schedule an appointment with the financial aid office is for the student to log into UCD Access and click the schedule appointment link. Yeah, you're very welcome. I have gotten a couple of questions in the chat on where do students go to view their financial aid? And let me pull up, let's see, I have a screenshot, and this is something that I show students during their Zoom registration session. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Here we go. I'm sorry, I'm just letting this open. Yeah, good. And the bill does need to be paid on August 1st. I'm sorry, not August 1st, September 5th. That is a Friday. September 5th is when the bill needs to be paid. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And again, you cannot view the student's financial aid without their help, but you can get to it. They can get to it in their UCD Access. So a student, you all might not know exactly what I'm showing you. It's a half a screen, but this is part of UCD Access. Let me go back a slide, actually. So here, again, this is what students see. So if they come back and be like, I don't know how to find my advisor, you can be like, lies, I saw it, lies. But this is the main page of a student's UCD Access. This is the top part of it. And so to view and pay the bill, the student will log in here to this, or they'll log in, but they'll click on this and they'll click view pay my bill. That takes them to the billing system. That is also where parents can be set up as an authorized payer. Under here, the tile next to it, it says make an appointment. That is where they can make an appointment with the financial aid office. They can make an appointment with their advisors. There's actually a lot of offices and referrals that can be done through there. For COF, the student account icon right here, if they click on this right here, they will see the COF option, and they can authorize their COF there. Again, that's the College Opportunity Fund. And then this is what we show students. So they click on the little person icon, they can look at their major. This is where they find their advisor. This is also where they find their registration day and time for each semester. So for fall classes, students really will register in April. For spring semester, students will register in November. But then to the right, there's this little menu bar to the right up there. And so when a student clicks on the menu bar, again, this is a different path that we have students do, but there's this financial aid and scholarships link. So I put these directions in the chat. I know it's kind of hard to follow when you don't see, but what they'll do is they'll click on financial aid and scholarships. It will open another page. And I don't have a screenshot of that, I'm sorry, but it will open another page, and then you'll click accept decline awards. And then it will open a new page, and you'll click on the link for 2026. And in that, you will then see if they've been awarded any grants, scholarships, if they've got any loans that have been offered, and it will say if it's a subsidized or unsubsidized. Um, the university will accept the grants and scholarships on behalf of the student. So we assume students want the free money that you don't have to pay back. For loans, students have to follow those directions I just gave you, and they do need to accept the loans if they want to utilize them. For Parent Plus loans, I do encourage you, if you're getting a Parent Plus loan for you and your student, to make an appointment with the financial aid office just to make sure that you are doing all the things you need to do as a parent on your side for that loan to come through.
And I'll jump in here, Alicia. I've seen a couple of questions, both from students and I think support persons of students about academic advisors and their assignments. So Alicia has touched base with some visuals before on like where they can make appointments, but someone brought up a good question. Their student might not have a specific advisor. There could be a couple of reasons for that. So students, just as a general rule, will be assigned an academic advisor usually the day after they fully attend their registration session. That just lets the university know that, like, hey, they went to registration, they are hoping to enroll in classes. We should get them an advisor permanently assigned so that they can see them and start building that relationship to have a good advising experience. So if you are not seeing an advisor in your student portal, there could be a couple of reasons. You might not have fully gone to an orientation. If so, you can always hang tight at the end of the Zoom call. Alicia and I can help get you signed up. Or there might be a situation, many of our students within the School of Business, if anyone's, business marketing, accounting, finance, things like that, our business school actually has open advising. So you might see 3 names listed there. I think it's Jamie, Hannah, and Emma. And so those individuals, a student is free to just make an appointment with, if they happen to be in the School of Business, with whoever from that list is earliest available. Or let's say they made a connection, they already met that advisor at campus, they spoke to them at a campus event, anything like that. If they happen to already know someone and want to make a specific appointment with an individual, they really bonded with Jamie during that first appointment and they want to keep seeing them, they can keep making appointments exclusively and only with Jamie based on her schedule. For everyone else, if you're not in the School of Business, if you're in architecture or our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences with an English major or a biology major, you should see an individual's name listed there in their CU Denver email. You reach out to them via email, but sometimes if you reach out to them via email, you'll just go back and forth until you find a time that works for both of you. So that make an appointment scheduler link is really the most efficient way to just see when are they free so that I can also select a time from there. If you've already gone through new student orientation during our Zoom registration piece and you're still not seeing an advisor assignment period at all, I'm going to put our email in the chat. Our email is just orientation@ucdenver.edu. And reach out to us and I can take a look at that student's individual account and kind of escalate that to see hey, this student already did everything that they were supposed to do. They're not seeing an advisor assignment. Some processes are automatic, but even in the great age of AI, things still get missed. So if you've done all the things you need to do and you're still missing an advisor assignment, or your student is still missing an advisor assignment and they've gone through orientation already, do reach out to us at that email, let us know, and I can take a closer look at their account and make sure they get one. I've done that already for 2 students this summer. They just got missed in the cracks and didn't get an advisor assignment, but we got them squared away in about a week. So perfect. If anyone has any questions about advising, we can also touch base on those.
Good question in the chat. So when is the in-person orientation? So there are going to be 2 in-person orientations, and those will be specifically for first-year freshman students. The first one is going to be August 8th, and that will be from 1 to about 5:15. And then the second one, and the August 8th is for commuter students. And then August 14th, that is going to be for students living on campus or if they're an international student. We actually only hold those in-person sessions for students. And the reason being is because they're large and we don't have the capacity for families to also attend. So, for example, last year when we did our commuter student orientation, there was just under 700 students on campus in the Wellness Center. And the difference between the in person session and the Zoom session is kind of big. So the Zoom session, they meet with an advisor, they register for classes. We give them all these sort of like businessy informations to help them get started. The in-person session, we intentionally hold closer to the start of the semester, and that is when we introduce them to campus resources. They will get to meet the orientation leaders that help them register online. They'll get to meet them in person, and those orientation leaders will do presentations with the students. They will get to select a workshop. So right now, as of this earlier this afternoon, there was for August 8th, there was about 350 students that were signed up and confirmed for that. And, we do ask them to select their workshops when they attend. We do provide parking codes for students. So anyone that might be driving themselves, they can park on campus. If you wanted to drive your student and park, that's fine. You can go hang out downtown. 16th Street Mall is beautiful. But there is a lot of students that do end up coming, and we just don't have a space big enough to hold families and students together. And then they meet campus resources. So it is also really important. I know some folks were excited or concerned for students to meet new people, or will they be okay. This is really their first step in sort of being out in that big world with low expectation, right? We don't expect them to meet their best friend, but it's quite amazing how often a student will come in to orientation on those big days. They don't know anybody, and I always look for that. There's always this one student that is super timid, super quiet, and just extremely shy. In that event, I always keep my eye on that student, and we will have orientation leaders also kind of keep an eye on, just go check on them. Hey, how you doing? And I kid you not, 10 out of 10 times by the end of their in-person session, they have made at least one, if not two or three friends. So they find people that they have connected with, or, just sort of bonded with. And I promise you, I've not seen a student at the end of a session just completely lost and not knowing anybody. So that's one of the beautiful things. I like to see that sort of evolution, even just within one day. They get to meet campus resources. There's a lot of swag that folks give away. So it's just kind of a fun place, and it really gets students used to and connected to that campus feel and community.
I did see someone have a question for student IDs. And so we share this information with them during their Zoom registration session, but I'll also post the link here kind of in the general chat. So students can submit a photo online for their student ID. It is a campus requirement to have a physical student ID badge on your person anytime you're on campus, whether that's just like on your backpack or clipped to a lanyard. But also a lot of our buildings are now also badge access required. And so you want to make sure you have a student ID. And so if that is the case, I didn't hit send. You can send a photo in online. You want to make sure that you or the student, if you are the student, make sure that you have been registered for classes for at least one full week, like a full 7 days before you go to submit a photo. Because like Alicia mentioned, you've paid for a lot of things. One of the things you have paid for with your student fees and tuition dollars is you have paid for your first issue campus ID in your first semester. So you shouldn't have to pay anything when you pick up the ID for the ID card itself. But to do that, you just submit a photo online. They want to make sure that you're enrolled in classes, even if it's just one class, to issue you a student ID. You can submit a photo online, and they can set it aside for pickup, and you can stop by the Denver campus anytime at our Tivoli ID station to grab that when they're having their open hours, or they can mail it to you for the fee of postage. So it just depends. I do recommend for those students who are, if you happen to be out of state, you can have that mailed to you, so you have it with you and can bring it to you to your move-in day. But you really just want to make sure that you're getting that before the first week of classes. You can still kind of get by if you don't have your student ID, but the reason we recommend getting it really before, like well before the start of classes, even if that's just taking the photo, submitting it online, and having it set aside for pickup, is because during that beginning of the semester, if there's a large wave of people, and there always is, who have forgotten to submit their photo online, you can go in person and take a picture. But to do that, the line sometimes is wrapping around that floor. It is really, really long. So we do recommend save yourself some time. Your time is so valuable. Save yourself some time, take a photo at home, make it nice, get a nice, it's basically a passport photo requirements, a square photo, blank background, clear, no hats or anything. Um, just submit that online. It's easy for pickup. I don't want you guys to be waiting in lines that are upwards of an hour long sometimes once classes have started to pick up that student ID. So that's my 2 cents about the ID.
Yes, and just to know that I just typed this in the chat. It was a question about how to receive it. So to submit a photo online, students do receive a follow-up email when they attend their Zoom orientation session. And there is the link to submit. We do ask the students wait about a week to submit that photo because the ID station is run under Auraria Higher Education Center, or AHEC. So the ID station is not an entity of CU Denver. So that gives a week gives them the ID station enough time to get the student in their system. For move-in, you will have options. If this, again, like Katie said, I highly recommend they submit their photo online. And then you'll have an option. They can either mail you the photo, there is a small fee to have it mailed, or if you are moving in the day of move-in, the housing check-in will have that ID ready for you. Let's see. Do the different schools have welcome sessions? It depends. So the schools and colleges is what I think you're talking about. So folks who are not familiar with the structure of CU Denver, we have CU Denver, and then under CU Denver is the different schools and colleges. So that would be College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Business School, College of Arts and Media, College of Architecture and Planning, etc. And it depends really on the school and college. The first week of the semester, that Thursday, we have our annual block party. And this is a good segue into those student events to look for. But on Thursday, we have our annual block party, and it's usually on Lawrence Street in between Spear and 14th. And all of the campus departments and the academic units are there. The student life will give students vouchers to get some food at the food trucks that are there. It is open to the community. We have live bands. They usually have, if anyone is familiar with old school DJs, DJ Chones is usually there DJing as well. And so they do that. But within the specific schools and colleges, like Business Center will usually have something, to connect their students. And within the first 6 weeks of the semester, there's a lot of programs that students can look for to get started with. And throughout the semester. So our College of Architecture and Planning, mid to end semester, they will have showcases. They also have guest speakers that are for students and community members or family members. So it is really for the student to kind of look for some of those things as well. But I think that's a great segue to start talking about some of the events. So one more question before we talk about events. Do you know anything about securing storage locker for instruments in the music building? I do not know a whole lot about that. It is best Dave Walter. I'm going to give you his email. Contact Dave Walter, and he will be able to answer that question specifically. Also, we also get questions about what type of laptop is best to purchase. And again, that answer depends on what the program is. So sometimes within College of Arts and Media, people will say a Mac. Sometimes they will say a PC. Same thing with engineering. Sometimes they'll say, no, don't do a Mac, do a PC because you can get more of the apps are compatible. So they can contact, I recommend the department chair. I know it's intimidating for students to reach out to this like authority level, but the department chairs are amazing. I kid you not. I reach out to them quite frequently because classes are starting to fill. This last week, our college of, who was it? Our public health folks, their class was at capacity and students were still needing it. And within 24 hours, the chair got back to me. They said, we increased capacity, we opened up spots. So encourage your students, Google search, just as you saw me do. you know, our digital design chair, CU Denver chair. It'll pull it up. They're easy to get a hold of. So with that, Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you. And would you mind talking about the welcome events that students, one, they should have already received an email about, and two, there's a ton of them.
Yes, absolutely. So if you, much like my dad, are wondering where's all the pizzazz and the rah-rah-ree, as he called it, where's all the get excited for school and all the pep and the pizzazz, if you are looking for it, CU Denver Welcome has it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on this side here. I'm the one who's managing some of our communications that go out to students to advertise for these events. So let me get this up here. All right. And so our CU Denver Welcome, some schools, if you have students in other schools, you might hear like, oh, welcome week. But we here at CU Denver, we have 6 weeks of programming back to back to back, all the way leading up until our homecoming week and family day. And so I dropped this link in the chat here. This goes week by week and tells you every single listed event that is going on in and around campus. You can find when it is during the week, what time of day, and where it is located. So they will try to get these as public as possible. And you might notice we even have a week before classes, particularly for our students who are commuting to campus, because that happens to be actually the majority of our students. We want to make sure that you are building that bridge and pathway to connection immediately. I know it's very tempting. I hear you. I also commute up and down Spear Boulevard. I know it is very tempting to just like drive to campus, do what you got to do, and then go home. But I promise you, if that's what you choose to do, your CU Denver experience is not nearly as rich as it could be, because CU in the city, we're hoping you meet your moment by being here in the city with us. And so we talked about block party. That one's huge. Alicia and I will most likely be there handing out, games and prizes and swag, all sorts of good stuff. But activities begin even the week before classes. So we have things like move in, we have our family hub, we have board game nights. If you have an interest, there is probably like a 9 out of 10 chance that that interest is represented. All of our student clubs come out and they put on individual events. We have an outdoor movie night. I believe the movie night is Shrek 2 this year. So students are very excited. They have some of those little Shrek ear headbands. Individual colleges might host their own little open houses, like our architecture program has a new student welcome specifically for their students. But we also have many, many events. So, and then again here, if you have questions about the CAM department, much like our family member who asked about the lockers, if you're curious about that, they will do departmental tours for our College of Arts and Media Friday, August 15th at 3:30. So this is a lot. I don't want to understate it. This is a lot. It looks like there's a lot going on, but don't feel like you have to go to everything. I would pick like maybe 2 events a week and just commit to going to those 2 events a week because they sound interesting. You say you want to make at least one friend at that event. And if you do that, then that's good with us. So this is the total and full list of all events broken down by week. Some of the events require pre-registration, not all of them. Some of them will indicate with a little asterisk that they need pre-registration. That's mostly to account for if they're giving out like a very vast amount of free food, which a lot of them are. But if they're giving out like a lot of free food, they do want to make sure they have the appropriate amount of food. So they just want some pre-registration to make sure that they have enough. But a lot of those you can just like walk in and walk to. But for anything that does need to get registered for, students are directed to one of our web pages called My Links. Everything has a links in its name here. But I'll go ahead and sign in. I'm one of our faculty advisors for our anime club. So if any students happen to be really big into anime, you can send them my way. Happy to chat about it all the time. But for students who are interested in joining clubs and they're like, well, how do I know what's out there and what's available? My Links is the destination, and they were getting emails about it to their CU Denver emails, just to say like, hey, here's everything that's going on. Each week we'll be highlighting a different series of events. So like, here's all our outdoor events. Here's all of our events with free food. Here's all of our events specifically designed to make friends. So they have some themes. But you can search as a student. This was required with their CU Denver credentials, but you can search for all events, just anything that happens to be associated with CU Denver Welcome. They can search by organization. So if they just want to peruse everything, like I did when I was a freshman many years ago. I just said, I want to read every single club description to see what I want to join. You can do that as well. But they have all sorts of clubs. If you have an interest, they either have it or all you need is another 4 people who share that interest to start the club and an advisor. They're very easy to get. They will off Student Life will often work with you if you're interested in creating a club and finding you an advisor. But we have some fraternity and sorority life. Some of these are more, traditional fraternity and sorority life. Some of them are more academic, based fraternities and sororities, like the Dental Association is technically like a sorority or a fraternity, but it's more academic based. So if your student has an interest at all, you just want to open them up and you can just peruse them here. You can just keep scrolling all the way down the list. I know our Asian Student Association is very, very bustling. I had several students in one of my classes that I taught last year, and almost like a quarter of the class was there. They're a great community. They do really great stuff for our Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So definitely, if a student is like, there seems to be a lot, it's because there is. But once you find your little niche, I promise you, you will slot right in, and CU Denver will be your home before you know it. And if you're having any trouble or your student is having any trouble, making those connections, our office, our orientation leaders, their connection to students doesn't just stop the day orientation ends. If they're really kind of that main point person, you're like, I haven't talked to a single soul besides my orientation leader, like, let us know. You can always stop by our orientation office. We're in the Learning Commons, which is right next to the Student Commons. So if you can find the Qdoba building, look to your left. We're in the Einstein's Bagel building right next door. You can just walk right in to the Student Commons, and on the first floor, like Alicia mentioned, that'll be our tutoring center. Our Learning Resources Center, they have free food. They have people who want to connect with you. But if you find your way up to the second floor, there'll be more free food and even more people who want to connect with you, but that's our office there. And so that's my spiel about CU Denver welcome events. The more you go to, the more it's been proven through several studies that, like, if you go to more events, you feel more connected to campus. So like I said, just pick a couple, commit to going, talk to your classmates. I know it's kind of scary, but I promise you, if you are feeling nervous, everybody else is feeling just as nervous. Everybody is in the same boat. And I'll kick it back to you.
All right. And so I want to be cognizant of folks' time. To wrap it up in the chat, I did just put like family information. So I did put the web page, which has access. If you wanted to sign up for our newsletter and our mailing list, you can do that on the website for families. We also have our family advisory board, which you can sign up to be on that list as well. Family Advisory Board is where we do monthly Zoom meetings with families. And so we rotate those. Sometimes they're during, like 1 month, it might be during a lunch hour because it's easier for folks. It might be on a Saturday. So we try to rotate it to make it more available to families. And the topics vary. Sometimes it's just a Q&A. So the first one we do, it will usually just be like, what questions do you have? How can we assist you and help this transition? Then we also will have like advisors talk. In the spring, we had like commencement folks there. So it is for new families as well as continuing families, but that's our family advisory board. I also put the link to our Facebook group. We do have a very active Facebook group. So there's always, some families, when summer came, one parent said, where do you store, your student stuff that they're moving out and they're coming home? We don't want to move it all. Where do you store it? So it is just a very helpful community for parents who have already been going through this. They do. So MSU students can join the fun. A lot of times we don't know if a student is CU Denver, especially for the block party and, we do collaborate with MSU and CCD a lot, so they can definitely come and partake in the fun. So, but yeah, take a look at that in the chat. I have to close this this document real quick. I am going to put a link to the deck slides that I went over, so you all have access to that. Give me just one moment. End of the day, the computer is just like, I'm not working anymore. Okay, parent slides. Here we go. So in this Zoom chat, I'm uploading it now. these are the deck slides that has all of those resources, and you can get the links to the Wellness Center, the Counseling Center, Phoenix Center, all of those things, Link Central, Trio. So that will have all that information. It has the important dates in there. We are here for you. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the email. I check it daily. I have a new graduate assistant that's starting next week. So her or myself will be getting back to your responses as soon as possible. With that, we'll have about 4 more minutes. So if anyone has any burning questions that they did not get asked and answered, please feel free to get those out now. And if not, you are welcome to leave the Zoom. I truly appreciate you all being here. Again, the role of families is, it changes, right? You are now the passenger in the driver's seat of life, and just hold it on with all 4 hands to the sides and hoping it goes well. So we really are appreciative of our families. You all are very welcome. I hope you have a wonderful evening or, late afternoon, depending on where you're Zooming from. Good question. What is the portal name to pay tuition as a parent? It's authorized payer. So I can put that in the chat. And the students authorized. And the student will have to set you up through their UCD Access. They'll click the view, pay my bill. It takes them to the billing system. And so the authorized payer, you can't miss it. It's right there on the left side. You're very welcome.
As people start to wind down, could you leave the Zoom open? I had a student reach out. I think I'm going to try and get them signed up for an orientation real quick. So we'll touch base in just a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Kate, I see your question. My students having a problem getting the email on the phone. We do have an IT office. Let me get their contact information and they can help troubleshoot that. So just one second.
I grabbed that, Alicia. I dropped their website and then that's their main phone number. They are usually, I'm just going to throw like my 2 cents out there. They're usually best over the phone. They have a live chat, but sometimes I'm waiting 10, 20 minutes for that live chat response. So I usually just call them and they take care of the issue pretty quickly. If they need to, they can always take control of the student's computer or the student's device kind of remotely and click around and do stuff for them. So I usually just call. I recommend that. You're so welcome. Alrighty. Super. And Alicia, I'll bring Edith. Actually, I think your name was, is it Irina or Irene?
Let me